technical difficulties, as you lot would have seen, but the show continues. You've been banging on about getting James on the platform. The man is back as usual, my guy. Man, love for tuning in. Go on.
How are you, man? Yeah, sorry, good. Let me just turn my mic down, actually, because I realize might be
no, man, go on, man. It's nice to see someone else is having issues with technology, man. We was live and first it went blank. Then I'm sure everyone saw me on screen. I was thinking, what the hell is going on? But I got you in at the best time. As we've gone live, Mikel Merino's obviously been confirmed. We're fresh off another 3 points against Aston Villa. Before we get into Merino and all the transfer stuff and all of that, I actually want to ask you about what have you made of the start to the season in 2 games so far, bro?
Yeah, I mean, first, thanks for having me back. I super appreciate it, and I really enjoyed the last time we chatted. Yeah, I've had some technical difficulties, so hopefully it all holds through. But sorry, so the transfer window. When did we last chat? Was it before Calafiori was announced?
Yeah. Well, it might have been like 24 hours or so just before that happened, man.
Yeah, probably. By the way, if every now and again you catch me looking down, it's because I'm checking on a dog that I'm looking after. I'm just checking he's there.
I've been there with Jess from Shino's Arsenal. I've been there, man. Don't worry, man.
He's the most adorable thing, but I'm just like, I hope he just doesn't run away. Anyway, he's cool. Now, look, okay. I mean, great timing on the stream, right? Because we agreed this, a good few days ago.
Impeccable timing, bro.
I wish we could say we had inside information, but we didn't. We had no idea when Marino's going to be announced. To be honest, it feels like it could have been announced 3 weeks ago. But yeah, look, how do I feel about the window? I feel like we're one step away from it being everything I wanted it to be, which was basically let's go back to front. Have a really
take us away, man.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, have a good backup goalkeeper. So either Aaron Ramsdale, or if he goes, you get someone in. So when I see reports that have just come out, we'll probably talk about it in more detail. But when I see reports have come out in the last hour that Wolves aren't going to do the Ramsdale deal, I feel quite relaxed about it. I'm like, okay, it's not like we don't have a very good goalkeeper ready to play. I don't really mind. It's not an area I feel we need to strengthen. It's probably an area we just probably need to sort out in some way, shape, or form. Calafiori's come in. Very happy about that. Obviously, Timber's fit, which is great. There's a good competition across the back four. Marino's now in, confirmed. No more.
Finally.
None of that. We know he's in. So for me, it was a case of just adding a winger. Adding a forward. And the reason I keep saying forward, and I'm quite pedantic about it, is because if you want to go sign Gyökeres, Osimhen, Tony, and you want them to battle it out with Havertz, you can play midfield, and you want to chuck Jesus on the wing, cool, I can deal with that. But if you feel like Jesus and Havertz are your guys, and look, you know what? I don't think people can say they definitely can't fire us to a title. I think people aren't convinced. That's the bigger problem. But I don't think anyone's saying, they definitely can't. Maybe Jesus with his injuries, but quality isn't the big question. Then I'm going, okay, cool. We'll go get a winger then. But we've got to add something to the forward line. So that's where I am. I'm happy. I'm definitely getting happier as the days goes on. And I'm feeling, what are we at the end of Tuesday? There's 3 days left to do some business.
It's a long time in the transfer window. Fingers and everything crossed.
It really is. Well, the last 2 days, I always say everyone gets excited about deadline day, which is obviously Friday. I always say it's the day before. That's when it really starts to pick up momentum.
Yep.
Especially by the end of that day, and you start to find out what's going on across that final day. So, yeah, I'm excited because actually I'm feeling very confident Arsenal will do something. I might be completely wrong. I might be delusional. But what do you think, actually? Do you think Arsenal are going to bring in a forward then?
Do you know what? I have small hope. And again, like you said, we haven't got insider information and things like that. And I don't want to be dramatic with my terminology, but it feels like we're so close. We're flirting with success. And again, I can't sit here and say I know more than Mikel Arteta, but to us honest Arsenal fans or just normal football fans, it just looks like you sign a left back, which we were told they wanted. Obviously, we've got that. You want Mikel Merino in midfield, we've got that. The striking position. Now, I'm a bit like you. Of course, I would love half of the names you said. I would love a number 9 that could get us 20-odd goals to go with Kai Havertz and everyone we've got. Equally, I'd love a winger as well. I think if we was looking at the Sesko thing, I think we was looking at someone that immediately comes in, challenges, potentially could take Havertz's spot, but at the point of entry isn't going to do that. So I'm a bit like you in that I use the term forward lightly. Maybe someone of the Trossard ilk that is very fluid across the front three. I do think it'd be a missed opportunity. Now, I have got hope because it seems like, we'll get on to Eddie Nketiah, but outgoings, we're doing our job. We've got the Merino thing sorted, and it just seems like let's find someone. I'm sure you're asked it all the time, but I guess the big question would be whether it's Nico Williams not happening, whether it's Chiesa, who that person is. Is it a Mudryk or a Rashford or a Sancho, someone that's got a foot out the door? Is it an unknown entity, a somewhat unpolished diamond, or is it a blockbuster signing? That's my issues. And then I look at someone like Fabio Vieira. Now, me and you both know his future isn't probably as a 10 or an 8, but he has played out wide. So he's gone, Smith Rowe's gone. Not quite sure what we're doing with Nelson, but it's been made abundantly clear that he can be moved on, right? Surely you bring in an attacker, because again, we're flirting with success. I still think even if you signed half the players I want, we've still got a long way to go to get to City, but it just feels like tightening the ship. If you was to sign a couple of players, our squad just goes up, in which obviously we've did with the arrivals so far. I want to circle it back here. You mentioned Aaron Ramsdale. Now I'm with you. If Ramsdale sits on the bench, he sits on the bench. We've got a great number 2. Yeah. Do you think he will force a move through? Again, Wolves apparently don't have the money. We've probably got to look to him going on loan versus permanent. Do you think Ramsdale probably sits there and says, do you know what, Gaffer, I need to go?
Well, so I actually think Ramsdale's got a great attitude, and I think he's a great character. Whatever people think his faults are as a goalkeeper, I think everyone agrees. A good goalkeeper, perhaps very good goalkeeper, but is he just that level we need? So I think if we take all that, right, he signed the bumper new contract, right, which is fine. He's well entitled to do. We offered it to him, and I think we were right to do that. I know a lot of people criticize it now, but I think we were right to do that at the time. You can't take the contract that you believe you're worth and then be mad, and Arsenal have given you that contract because they believe you're worth it, and then be mad at Arsenal when they demand your worth in the transfer market. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is Arsenal rated Ramsdale to a certain level. Ramsdale's very happy to be rated at that. Well, let's sign the dotted line. Now, I don't blame him for not knowing what was going to happen with David Raya. He probably thought he was signing on to develop and get better, become Arsenal's number 1 for the foreseeable future. In fact, we also thought that. But now when clubs are coming in, like Wolves, and they're saying, well, we want a loan, a loan with an option to buy for 20 million? I think the deal's something around that. And we're saying, no, we want an obligation of around 30 or a permanent transfer now.
We want a financial commitment.
Right. We can't. That's exactly it. We want a financial commitment. We can't. We if that's not the value we have for him, that's not the value we have for him. Sorry, there's an alarm going off because people are doing.
Now do your thing, man. You're drawing attention to it. Nobody knows that, man. Come on, my guy.
Good stuff.
You're good, man.
But that's kind of where I am with it. Like, we value him at a certain point. Now with Eddie Nketiah, I was more at the point where I was like, look, I question what his body of work is and how high his stock is in the Premier League. To be fair, I've proven completely wrong because a lot of clubs came in for him. A lot. Marseille, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Palace. Like, those are good clubs that have all come in for him.
So and probably some other clubs that we won't know about because it obviously didn't go anywhere.
You're absolutely spot on about that. So I'm probably wrong on that front. However, with Ramsdale, I think we all widely recognise that his stock is up there. Like, he is a good goalkeeper, and also have the right to demand kind of what they are demanding from him. So I don't really know how I feel about it. I think the answer is pretty relaxed. I think the only way I wouldn't be is if we let him go on a deal we're not happy with, and we end up not getting a backup number 2. Then I'd be sort of sat there thinking, what the hell was all this for? So yeah, do you think he goes? Like, do you think Ramsdale will go? Like, you asked if he will force a move through, and I didn't really answer that. But in short, I don't think he's in a position to force a move. What do you think?
This is it. Like you said, it's a double-edged sword. It's like you said, he got a new deal. I don't agree with comments how we've damaged his stock. I mean, obviously we have David Raya's come in. He's Arteta's guy and whatnot, but this is someone that was PFA nominated, was part of the new building blocks defensively. So if I'm Ramsdale, it's a tough one because obviously, we're not in the ground, but seems a good lad, clearly not a disruptive character. Very unlucky that David Raya, in Arteta's mind, simply put, is just better than you. I think he does, I think he does. I think he genuinely goes, you know what, I can't really afford another season of sitting on the bench. As much as I like what Arsenal's doing, I'm not really on that, if I'm honest. Again, there seems to be a turnaround where England are concerned. He might be able to pick Pickford potentially. You only get that via playing. But as you said, it comes down to a financial commitment. It comes down to it making sense. Now, from a human point of view, I'm sure even like someone like, it's very different, but Smith Rowe, Arsenal probably wanted to keep him, but from a human point of view, you wanted to go. And I do think Arteta is from the same school of thought with Pep Guardiola, in that if you want to leave, from the moment you've said you want to go, he will let you go. Like, I'm not saying Ramsdale lacks commitment, but clearly you're not, for whatever reason, you're not 100% committed. So I think he does. But then it comes back to what you said earlier. You know, if Wolves are being priced out, if it's options to buy and it's at a loss, considering, you know, the fact of, I don't care what nobody says about Ramsdale, his stock is a lot bigger now at this football club than when he came in. And then it comes down to his wages. Like, I'm not a financial expert, but is someone really going to pay his wages on loan? Are they going to bid for him now? Kind of what you said about a backup goalie. Time is kind of running out now. It does seem we've got a verbal agreement with the guy from Espanyol, but Ramsdale has to go in that case. So I do think we're in a bit of a position of strength. I wanted to indirectly ask you, because as we both know, obviously with your work for AFTV, right? Edu. Now, if Arteta does something good or bad on a football pitch, we can critique fairly or praise. The same goes for the players. Edu is where it becomes a bit technical, because yes, if he signs players or whatever, a bit of me thinks he can't win. He, you know, sticks to his guns, like what you said with Eddie and Ketia, and everyone was quite critical. Everybody had something to say. He lets people go on the cheap. People have issues. Do you think, again, the market isn't closed, but do you think Edu's done well this transfer window? Do you think we're actually stronger at this point going into the season, or better yet, in the season we have so far?
Oh God, what's a great question.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, and can I be really annoying about the answer? Like,
say what you feel, bro.
If we're here, I think we have gone to here. Like, I think Calafiori and Marino have improved us, but City were already here, and they've added Savinho and Gundogan, so they've already gone. So we needed the jump that took us there. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I think we have improved, but dare I say, I think they've improved as much, if not more. How did Gundogan? Like, we were there, like, trying to find the right 8. Who could we sign? Who's available? Who's out there?
Yeah, I would have loved him.
Gundogan was doable. We got Marino. I'm very happy about the Marino deal. I actually think he's going to fit in really, really well. But they went and got Gundogan. Oh, okay, all right.
Yep.
And that's not just giving them that number 8, you know, in case Foden or Bernardo isn't available, or Nunes or Kovacic. My word, look at the options. But it's also them giving them a player who's played as an accomplished number 6 in a title run-in, as he did in the, I think it was the 18-19
individual
head with Liverpool. He was playing at the base with De Bruyne and David Silva either side of him. So they've now got a Rodri replacement if needed, and we know that they're concerned about the minutes Rodri's played because they've given him an extended period of time off that other Spanish and English players haven't had, who got to that Euros final. So plus Savinho, who I think is a more similar profile to Doku, and now they've got one on each end.
That's what we needed, someone like him, man.
It's exactly what we needed. I mean, and we have it. It's Saka, but we needed more.
Because we need another one. Yeah,
that's the other thing. So they've strengthened a lot. The only thing some might say is, but they've only got Haaland, and I'm like, but only Haaland. Like, first, I've got no doubt they've probably got a good academy prospect there. There you go, the thumbs up.
As your laptop agrees. Yep.
Yeah, MacBooks like to do. But added to that, I mean, Foden, Bernardo, De Bruyne, they've all played false 9. So if Haaland doesn't play, I'm not sitting there going, where are the goals going to come from? I'm thinking, no, they're just going to go back to what they did a few years back. So we have strengthened. Calafiori and Marino make us better, in my opinion. But I don't know if we've had that big deal and that big summer that we hoped was going to catch Man City. It is my honest opinion. I don't know how you feel about that.
I agree with you. I don't want to say it's one step forward and 2 steps back, but I feel from what we've done on the coaching front, and as much as I want new signings, and I'm a big advocate of new signings, I think where you look at the Premier League, a lot of people just look at the solution of buying players. It's all about coaching and improvements and all of that kind of jazz, right? Arteta is doing that. Now I feel, one, we need to buy the right profile, in which every signing's, a risk in that. But also I feel we're at that stage now where we actually need to buy players. Again, it's easy for me and you to sit here and say Chiesa, Salvio, Gundogan, all of these guys, but it just evidently is clear another inside forward takes this to the next level. Potentially, I'm kind of cool with Kai Havertz. As much as I would like a striker and an inside forward, I think we could copy Liverpool in some degree in that. Havertz is our Firmino, quote unquote. You've got our Salah in Saka, and you've got Mane on the left-hand side, whoever that is. At the moment, it's only Trossard and Martinelli. Martinelli's in a bit of a tough way. Trossard did his thing off the bench. That's kind of where I am. And it just feels like it's a missed opportunity, or somewhat, because we're very close. Like, we're very close. I kind of focus my talk on the Premier League, right? Like, we all know what we need. The Champions League's a big jump. It is more about stardust. You're then talking about the Viniciuses, the Rodrigos, the Mbappes, players that aren't evidently attainable. But that's the kind of territory I think we're getting in. And I do understand that if the club isn't 100% convinced by anyone, then don't sign anyone. And some of the people in my chat yesterday, in fact, they were saying, do you think we have enough to January? Do you think we can afford to sit here until January and maybe not move in the market? Exactly. It's tough, man.
I wouldn't feel great about it.
Neither would I.
Not after we let Vieira and Smith Rowe go out on loan. One on loan, one on a permanent deal. Like, I think what frustrates me about those players, Smith Rowe and Vieira, is I don't think you'll ever find any footage of me ever saying I don't rate them, they're not very good, get rid of them. That was never my feeling. My feeling was they aren't, at the moment, the way they're being used don't fit in what we're doing. So you see the goal he scored for Fulham the other day, Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
Driving into space.
A typical Smith Rowe finisher, one of 2-3 years ago.
I know what you mean. It was like very few touches, bang, clinical.
There was intention with what he was doing.
Yeah. And also the way when he was picking up the ball on the left-hand side, Robinson was overlapping, just took me back to when Kieran Tierney used to do that with him.
I never forgot, man.
Yeah, he's a wide dribbling playmaker, if that makes sense. Who, yes, he can play in the 10, but really want him in those pockets, combining with players, runners around
in the half spaces.
Yeah. So I've gone on a bit of a tangent about Smith Rowe. Why?
No, keep going, man. This is why you're here. We all want your thoughts. You're the guy.
Arteta never used him in that way. He tried to play him in the kind of left 8 role, didn't really work. Vieira was the same. He was kind of shoved in the left 8. He was shoved right wing. I think Vieira played his best football when he stood in for Odegaard, which was very rare because how taking Odegaard out of this team. But I guess my thing is with letting them go. Okay, I understand they weren't doing the job Arteta wanted or needed of them, but like they've got to be replaced. Like you've left yourself short in numbers.
We have less numbers, yeah.
Fans have been saying this now for a while. Fans have been saying, we're a bit short. We need, and actually there were then a group of other fans that would say, but we scored the most goals ever in a Premier League season last campaign. Goals isn't a problem for us. If we add someone, then great, but I think we need to stress about it. But now Arteta's language is starting to change. Now Arteta's starting to say, we are short. You never know. We will try to do something.
He said that in February as well.
Almost trying to, as much as he kind of really can publicly, say like, yeah, I agree with you, and I want to make this happen. So I'm really interested to see what comes in these next few days. And Sterling, Sasha's mentioned here.
Big up Sasha for that.
Sterling on loan for a year. I got to be honest. This could sound crazy. I wouldn't do a loan. I don't see. I think a loan is like. Let me put it this way: would Man City loan a player that Chelsea didn't want and just go?
Probably not. Probably not.
No. They'd sign a player that Chelsea didn't want, Kovacic, and look what they got out of him, and are getting out of him. Is that right? Sorry, Dan's just said that Merino will wear number 23. That's interesting.
I think so. I actually think I briefly looked on Arsenal.com, and I think they said that, which raises in question certain other numbers at the club.
I thought he'd get number 16. I think 16 is more suited to him, but anyway, he's wearing 23. Fine. Sorry. So back to it. What was I talking about? Sterling. I wouldn't do a loan because a loan is like do you want to just come help us out? And then we'll see where we are in a year. I don't know how Sterling feels uber committed at that point. I don't see how Arsenal feel uber committed to Sterling at that point. And then what? Let's say he smashed it for us and Chelsea want to keep him because maybe
Chelsea have like a new signing.
Well, a new manager comes in and then they go, oh, actually, Sterling, no, I want to keep you. You're great. Like you've really discovered. I don't know. So if we're going to do the Sterling deal, I'll do it on a permanent. But I think he's saying to Man United, I think that Sancho-Sterling swap could really happen, which is crazy. Like United and Chelsea, who I think have both done better business this summer than they've done in the previous summer. So I'm not here to kind of completely trash everything they do, but like I don't know where they're learning from each other's mistakes here, like from their own mistakes by just going, you've got a problem. Should we just swap?
Let's swap problems.
And they're both. I rate them both.
They're just in a bit of a bad way, man.
Sorry,
they're just both players just in a bit of a bad way,
and they're both not in good. The working relationship with their clubs isn't the best at the moment. I know supposedly Sancho and Ten Hag made up, but I just don't believe that for a second.
I mean, he's not been in the matchday squads. That says everything.
Well, exactly. And I actually think when you look at all those circumstances, I can feel sorry for both, and I can imagine that actually maybe they both got a point. So, I'm not worried about. If we were signing Sterling, I'm not kind of worried about him from a personality perspective coming in. This guy played for Guardiola for years and years and has won titles and has been there.
He's worked directly with Arteta as well.
Worked directly with Arteta, but I do think I think that's heading in the direction of a swap with those two, and it's heading that way quite quickly. So Sterling would have played for Liverpool, Man City, and Man United, and quite frankly,
crazy.
They pretty much all hate Chelsea. So that's that's quite a CV. But I don't know if I don't know. I think if he went to Arsenal after, he's clearly not fond of his stint at Chelsea, and Man City and Liverpool don't have real beef with Arsenal, so I think that'd be fine. But I think to go to Man United, where he played his best football at their two biggest rivals,
he's almost doing the Jadon Sancho thing in reverse, even though it's kind of different because Sancho came through their academy, quote unquote. But you're right in that.
Different.
Do you think Sterling would work?
Sorry?
Do you think Sterling would actually work at Arsenal?
Yeah. I mean, look, again, does he win us the title? I don't know, but would I rather bring him on when we need a goal over Reece Nelson? Absolutely. Now, to be fair to him, a lot of people might say, "What's Sterling done in the last 2 years is any better than what Nelson's done?" And that's probably a fair point. But come on, this guy's had a great
man.
career. Yeah, look at the CV. Look what he's done. Also, I do think he's got blistering pace that we kind of need in this team. I think he can play well in the pockets. He can also play well out wide. But for what it's worth, I know the reports are that Arsenal over the weekend were not exploring Sterling, and that wasn't really something they were thinking of doing. I do think if it gets to Thursday and the deal isn't really done with Man United, I could see Arteta just thinking, "Do you know what? I've worked with this guy. I know what I'm going to get from him.
We can get a trick out of him."
But it isn't the deal I would do. I don't know what is the deal I would do, but I feel like there's others out there we'll explore instead.
I think you're right, bang on the money. Do you think, because I do think us Arsenal fans, myself included, it's not that we're getting in a trap, but it's like we look at Odegaard was very different, but he wasn't getting any love at Real Madrid. He came here, it's working out. Kai Havertz, I can't say he didn't get any love. You scored a Champions League winning goal for Chelsea, right? But the sentiment from when you left to when you came here now is very different. Ramsdale had back-to-back relegations on his CV. A lot of fans weren't keen on that, right? Do you think us Arsenal fans are getting in that trap of any player that appears to be damaged goods? It's always like, bring him to Mikel Arteta. He can fix everything. As much as I like Arteta, I do try and advocate that the man's human, but where are you at with that?
Yeah, but there's, I think with all in this context, I don't think we can just go, hey, Emi Buendia, I know you've had injury problems and now Morgan Rogers is great. Give him to Arteta and he'll become world class. I don't think anyone's doing that. I think what it is Odegaard had a massive reputation before and at Real Madrid. But then his loan spells went really well at Vitesse, at Sociedad. He cooked wherever he went.
Tried to find his feet,
Yeah, so it was, and then Real Madrid kept him with the hope of actually maybe getting him in the team, but 4 or 5 months of the season gone, and he wasn't playing. So Arteta picked up a player that, to be fair, had shown a lot. Then you look at, I know we're going to talk about Havertz, but there was another one. I mean, Jesus was really rated anyway. Jorginho, I know that Chelsea fans were hit and miss with him, but he was rated by Jorginho was rated by his colleagues and by
Pep
his
tried to buy him as well. So he can't be bad.
Exactly. So there was something with all these.
You do have Granit Xhaka, but it's kind of different. He was at the club, man.
Yeah, he kind of, I mean, he saved Granit Xhaka a little bit, and you're sort of right about that. But I think with all these, there was kind of something. Havertz is the different one because he had really not done well at Chelsea. I know he'd won the Champions League, scored the winning goal. I get that. But his body of work across 3 whole seasons he was there. I think
nothing of any real significance, if I'm honest.
Yeah, he didn't do anywhere near enough. Now, I think with him, it's pretty extraordinary that Arteta's kind of got even this level of performance out of him, which is good. Which is being a title chasing.
It's what we want.
Does he look like a player that's going to get 30 goals a season? Not quite, but he's got a lot more out of him than I kind of ever expected. So, is it a risk that we kind of say, give him to Arteta and he'll save him? I mean, he's worked with Sterling. There's a body of work there with Sterling. It just wouldn't. That's why it wouldn't surprise me at all. That's why I won't be hating on that deal. But I would hope that we're looking for something a little bit more exceptional, a little bit more like, wow. I think if we sign Sterling, I think City will go, yeah, another one we were happy to get rid of like 2-3 years ago. But if we sign a Nico Williams, a Rafinha, I don't know, lots of other names have been thrown out there.
Then we start dreaming.
Then I'm a little bit more like, I think they'd be a bit more like, okay, fair enough. Like Arsenal are making a little bit of a statement here, I suppose. I don't know, we'll see.
Because you mentioned Kai Havertz, yeah. Before I go, Oliver, I'm not leaving your question up there for no reason. I promise we're going to get to it. But just because you mentioned Kai Havertz and we've taken it there, yeah, a bit of twofold. Now, me and you have spoken about the inside forward and the striker. I know it's not just down to Kai Havertz. You know, again, 91 goals, they were spread out. Do you have the confidence that he'll do it for the majority of the season? Because if I really pull it under the microscope, not to get at Kai Havertz, but just to look at what we've got, of course, with another year of experience at this football club, he's all right. But really, it was, in terms of goal scoring, it was half a season, not to be disingenuous. And then you've got Gabriel Jesus. So a bit of a twofold question. Do you think Havertz can deliver? Because he probably is going to play on a consistent basis. And where are you at with Gabriel Jesus? Unfortunately, he's got injuries because we've got two strikers now. If Havertz gets injured or goes through bad form, we're in trouble. Gabriel Jesus is crossing that territory where we don't know if you're going to be available, let alone talking about can you score goals or not now.
Yeah. On Havertz, you know, I don't know. I don't know if he can fire us for the whole season. I think he's a player who can start up front for us, you know, pretty much the whole season, and we get 85 plus points. Like I can see that. Is he the guy that wins us a game at the Etihad, that wins us a game at Anfield? No, at the moment, I don't think so. I think he's a player that if we go to the Etihad, if we go to Anfield and we get on the ball and we play and we dominate, he will be a part of that. You know, I could see him being part of the good defensive structure. I could see him pressing up the pitch. I could see him linking up play nicely. When I say linking up play, I just mean dropping in the pockets and keeping it moving and keeping everything. But I don't think he's the kind who's going to go, right, our backs are against the wall at the Etihad. Just, you know, lump it long to me. I'm going to hold off Diaz. I'm going to bully them a little bit, and I'm going to gain us some territory.
And he's not even that kind of player, to be respectful to him. Like I do think us Arsenal fans or Arsenal get into that trap of putting players that are good, but in boots that they can't necessarily fill, and then we're kind of scratching our heads.
Yeah, no. You're totally spot on about that. But at the same time, when your squad has certain needs and certain skills that need fulfilling, you look at who the people that are most likely to do that. And our 6'4" striker, I'd hope would be a little bit more of a handful for City and Liverpool's defenders. Now, to be fair, at the Emirates, he was a massive handful for Van Dijk and Konate. So I don't know if he's going to win us really difficult big games, but I think look at the Villa game on the weekend. He wasn't really that involved, was he? Like,
I felt sorry for him, man. I think he didn't have no service, if I would this. But you're right.
And there's that. I don't think he had much service. I also think what he did off the ball, the shape, the work rate, just to kind of keep us pinned in there was all very good as well. So I think he does things from a tactical, functional perspective that Arteta loves.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think he's got that kind of that X factor that's going to, and it doesn't have to be whatever the X factor means, right? If you look at targets we've had, Eze can put one in the top corner from 25 yards out of nothing. Tony can be that bully at the Etihad. He's done it before. He can be that bully at the Etihad.
Done it against us as well many years ago.
Right, absolutely. Who says, listen, I'll give you some transition threat. You know, give me the ball. You might go for someone who's just got, exceptional pace. So he can go from one end of the pitch to the other. I don't know. Havertz can be a part of a team that wins the title, as can Jesus, and he has been Jesus. I just, again, his injuries, I don't really rely on him because of injuries. I do think Trossard, though, deserves more minutes as a false nine. I do think Trossard...
On the pitch, full stop, really.
Yeah, I think that ability to drop in and then bring in Martinelli and Saka, like, I think he does that really, really well. He gives us a fourth central midfielder. If you're inverting your left back, you've got five in that pocket. You're
just crowding the whole midfield, well, middle third, really. And then someone like Havertz or whoever runs off the ball may be able to benefit according to the game state. You're right, man.
But I like that. If it frees up Saka and Martinelli to play a little bit higher and wider to attack space, then I like that. So, yeah, I've just taken forever to answer your question.
Man, we're here. We are here for this. Never think you're taking forever. We're here for this. The people cried for me to get James, man. So answer the question however you want to answer it, bro. We're here for this.
Sweet. I'm just seeing that apparently Fabrizio Romano tweeted about Garcia. So I'm just going to see if that's true. I can't see anything.
Progress on that front?
You're all pulling my leg. I think everyone's winding me up.
Oh, come on,
but
people, man.
yeah, but we'll see. I'm interested to see what happens in the goalkeeper front as well.
To be honest, Romano said Southampton will assess options for goalkeeping position after Bijlow deals off. Aaron Ramsdale remains on the list, but Arsenal want a loan with an obligation to buy clause. So at this point, we're still sticking to our guns. It said we've 100% agreed on personal terms with Garcia, but then you also read stuff about
it
that
is
Garcia.
there. Sorry, guys, it is there. You're right. My thing must have not refreshed. Yeah,
exactly. And then when it comes down to this Garcia lad, the language that comes out in the media is that, as Espanol is saying, he's got a release clause, activate that or leave us alone. There might not be room for negotiation. So, well, we've got a lot to do, man, really. And I agree with everything you said about Kai Havertz. I do think he can make the difference. I just think, unfortunately, he's not a difference maker. Now, I'm very happy with Kai Havertz. I did say to give him a chance when he signed for the football club. I'll be lying if I said he would be of this importance, or I thought he'd be of this importance. But nobody cares about the 65 million. We can have our criticisms about needing a forward and all of this stuff. Havertz is one of the first names on that team sheet doing his thing in that regard. So it's a bit of a techie one. I want to throw a bit of not really a left field question, but some people say Martinelli up front. Where are you at with Martinelli, his form, and maybe him going up front as well? Now that we're here,
Martinelli does this thing, and don't all go crazy at me in the comments. He does this thing that Alexis Sanchez used to do quite well, where if he had a player or he had to shield the ball, then he had his back to goal, he'd be able to like sort of get quite low, hold a player off him, and then with the outside of his foot, kind of flick the ball one way or the other, and just protect it and turn and spin and take players out of the game. Sanchez was the master of it because that low center of gravity was incredible. It was very Hazard-esque as well, but Sanchez is brilliant, especially when he played up front. Martinelli shows flashes of that where I'm like, you are strong. You can hold it up. Like, I think he needs players near him. I think he needs some combinations. He needs space to attack. But regardless of all that, I mean, regardless of what sound like excuses for him, I mean, basically he's not doing enough. And Trossard comes on and shows what he should be doing. Do they play the position differently? Yes. Are they asked to do different things by Arteta? I don't know. I'd love to know whether Arteta has a different plan for when Trossard's on the pitch, because it felt to me like when Martinelli was on the pitch against Villa, it was, get the ball, work the ball out to him and get him to take on the fullback. Whereas with Trossard, we were trying to go over the top quicker. Gabriel just pinged one over the top for him. And then when he, had that brilliant touch that let Rice in, and then he cut it back for Erdegaard. Again, that's just a long ball. So with Trossard, do we go a little bit more direct to get him in behind in the first place? And Martin, we're expecting him to do the work to do it. I don't know. I really have no idea. But I feel like his form needs to start coming around by the end of the calendar year, because he was too good in the 22-23 season for us to give up on him quite yet. But football moves quickly, and look what happened to Vieira and Smith Rowe. Like
Kieran Tierney. Sometimes it's not even your fault, Aaron Ramsdale. Sometimes it's not even your fault. You might not be doing anything wrong. It's just like you said, time, and football's no different. It waits for no one. And I'm always going to back Martinelli. For me, I think he can play up front personally. I just don't think he's got the IQ. Like I am guilty of what you just said there about Alexis Sanchez. I see a bit of Alexis Sanchez as a false nine in Martinelli, but I do think as much as Alexis was extremely more experienced, but as much as he was tenacious and all of that kind of stuff, he had a great final ball. His intelligence was a lot better. Now, I can't tell Martinelli anything about football, let alone high level football, but it's like he runs into blind alleys. He needs to get his head up. I think his confidence is shot. The team comes first. So whether Martinelli has a bad game or Trossard has a good game, I don't really care. We've got 3 points. I don't think they're looking at it like that, but logically speaking, Trossard being the one to come off the bench and score for Martinelli, it probably is the worst thing because of what fans will say, not that he's listening, and because obviously that's your direct competition. Now, I think the one luxury for Martinelli is he's clearly ahead of Trossard, rightly or wrongly, in the pecking order. Like, it took a lot for Martinelli with his poor form to get dropped last season, so that probably tells you where he sees him. I agree with you in that Trossard just needs to play. I say this all the time. I wish we could play with 12 players, because life isn't fair, but it is quite unfortunate for him. On the topic of the Villa game, let me know your thoughts on the Villa game, but I also want to get this question out because Oliver, I've had this up for a while. Shout out to you, DG. Do you think the Calafiori deal is making Big Gabriel nervous because of his last performance against Aston Villa? No, I don't really think that personally, but where are you at with that, James?
I think every player should be somewhat nervous about their position. I mean, look, you don't want them thinking, oh, if I play one missed pass, I'm gonna get dropped. Like you don't want to instill that into the team, but you definitely want to instill a level of like, yeah, you know, there's a level that we need to maintain, and there are other players that will maybe come in and do the job if you're not. So I just
Exactly.
think, I think it's a good point. Yeah, but the beauty of having such versatile players is that Calafiori isn't thinking, oh no, I need Gabriel to struggle for me to play. Calafiori is thinking, well, I could play at left back, I could play left centre back. I might come on later in games, I might start games. Like there's real options there. I'm really glad that Arteta turned to Calafiori in the last 10, 15 minutes of the
It was
Villa game.
beautiful to see Timber start and California come off the bench. That was beautiful in terms of seeing out the games. Zinchenko, big you up, but I did not want to see you. Rightly so.
And I think Zinchenko has to hold that a little bit and then know that there will be a game where Arteta looks to him over the other two.
The week before against Wolves,
really
that was
your
you.
qualities here. Yeah, I thought Zinchenko had a good preseason. I thought he had a lot to his locker. You know, obviously got a good goal. He was crossing from the half space really well. He was finding people at the back post really well. He was underlapping. He was overlapping. He was picking up good pockets. I thought he did really well in preseason, Zinchenko. So I'm more than happy to see more of him. I just don't think that. I think he's got to understand that Villa Park away, Leon Bailey, one of
the game state has to be right for him, man.
Yeah, like you were gonna be on the bench for that, while the other two more robust defenders and options sit out. And the reality is he's probably behind Tomiyasu and Kivior in the pecking order when it comes to that. So Zinchenko's like 5th choice left back maybe for a trip to Villa Park, but he might be 1st choice for Everton at home, maybe. So yeah, that's just is what it is, really.
What do you make of Kivior? Because he's another forgotten man. I say forgotten man. It's not really respectful, but it seems like it's gone dead where he's leaving. I'm conflicted because I think we've got better options. I think you can make some money for us. I'm very sympathetic and empathetic to you going to need to play football. But then I flip it on its head, kind of what we said about Eddie and Nketiah and Ramsdale. Can't pay, you can't get the player. It's about time Arsenal stuck to their guns and got decent money. As much as I care about him needing to play football, selfishly, you're a body. Whether you need to play 10 games or 38, if those 10 games come in an injury crisis, we are laughing. So I'm a bit conflicted, but yeah, you're the man I invited on my platform. Where are you at with Kivior, man, and his future?
So I like him. I like Kivior. I don't think he's a bad player at all. Is he at the level to start every week to win a title? Probably not. But I think he can play games in certain cups, Champions League groups, and just kind of play to a level that's good enough to give others key minutes off, make sure that sort of things keep moving, the rhythm keeps going. He could probably play against most Premier League sides and we'd be fine. So I like Kivior. Keeping him's interesting because you can easily say, well, what's the need for him? Because you've got White Tomiyasu, right back. Oh, wow. I didn't know I could do
That's a new one. I ain't seen that.
That's great fun. None of these are on purpose, people. I wish I could say they were. You got White Tomiyasu right back, Timber Saliba centre back, Gabriel Calafiori centre back, and Lewis Skelly Zinchenko left back. Right, I've just named 8 players for 4 positions, 2 in each, and I haven't mentioned Kivior. But Timber just had a long-term knee injury. They'll want to manage his minutes. Tomiyasu's injury prone. Very injury prone. Zinchenko's injury prone. Calafiori had a really bad leg break 3-4 years ago. Now his fitness, I think, was good last season, but in previous seasons before that, there was clearly still some recovery injuries that that surfaced in those years after the injury. So I think it just makes you think that Arteta might feel that at least for this first half of the season, while we see where we are in the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, whatever, I could see him making a decision then about Kivior in January. I don't see it being right now, and I kind of understand why. I think we've got such a good set of options at the back. Why I don't think he wants to pull that apart. I also think he rates Kivior. Like I think he likes Kivior. He just didn't like him at left back. So he might be Gabriel's number 2, but
and I think that's his issue, James, man, in that obviously, ultimately, with Kivior, I like him, but you're not getting near Gabriel. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Kivior, but I look at Zinchenko. Yes, he's a liability defensively, but you know what he can do in the middle third. Timber's a unicorn in that he could do it all. Like personally, to go back to the Villa game, I feel Partey was probably the best out of the midfield 3, and he'd done better in the second half. But I think for a large point of that, the best centre mid was probably Timber when he was there. He can kind of do that. Tomiyasu's great 1v1, relatively bow-footed. I just don't think Kivior's got an outstanding kind of attribute, or if he does, it's not been apparent in an Arsenal shirt to make Arteta say, do you know what, you might be poor here, but you're great here. And I just think that's the cold-hearted truth. And Arsenal are a lot better defensively, so there's stability in the back four. So
I agree with that.
It's kind of sad. for him.
I agree with that because, okay, Tomiyasu on the ball, he's fine. He's pretty two-footed. He's very neat and decent on the ball, but there's nothing special. You don't look at him and go, oh, he's Ben
Yeah.
White or Timber or Calafiori on the ball. But you could put White, Timber, Calafiori, and Zinchenko up against Tomiyasu. And I think there's defensive attributes of Tomiyasu's that come through. I think he's probably better in the air than all three. Maybe not, but maybe. Like, that statement isn't crazy. Some people might say, yeah, he might well be.
Might be the best 1v1 defender, give or take, with Saliba at the club as well.
1v1 defender. Phenomenal 1v1 defender. You know, I don't think it's a surprise that when we played Man City the 22-23 season at the Emirates, remember the one that got delayed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one that got delayed. When that happened, when that was replayed, not replayed, it was postponed. When that took place in February, March time, you know, he started Tomiyasu at right back. And I know that a good year and a half's passed since then, but that was an insight into how Arteta rates this guy. When
even the running last season, the last 4 or 5 games, bro, Tomiyasu couldn't stay fit, running, him a Partey are in. So push comes to shove, you might need those players to age a point, man.
Well, Zinchenko had low-key, well, no, not low-key. He had changed our season in the 22-23 campaign, and we came up against Salah, and he picked Tomiyasu at left back to do a job on Mo Salah. Like, there's a very clear, you know, game plan there. So I think, does Kivior have that one use that Tomiyasu does that makes you think, okay, Tomiyasu might well be down the pecking order, but I can see how for certain games Tomiyasu is the go-to. I don't know if Kivior has that level, but maybe he does. I like him. I'm interested to see what happens.
And it's a bit like what we said about Ramsdale, give or take, with what we've seen with some other players linked with moves away. In that, if they are to leave, I think if the club gets offers, they'll let you go. But I don't think like some other names, they're actively trying to push you out. Which made me, because I actually haven't asked you about this. How did you feel about Fabio Vieira going on loan? Personally, I think it was needed. Going back to what you said earlier in terms of numbers, I couldn't get it. And because Arteta bought you, it seemed like he wanted to persist with you, but. Yeah, what do you make of the loan? Do you think he comes back from this, or do you think this is you're putting yourself in the shop window? It's not looking good.
Unfortunately, I think this is a loan with a view to selling him for good money next season. I agree. I think that's his time done, which is a real shame because, like I said, I don't think he got I say it's a real shame. Look, it is what it is. I think there's a good player there. I think there's a player there with a really good final ball, with a final action that can hurt teams. But the reality is that we didn't see enough of it. He's not going to force Odegaard out the side. So I think he'll go to Porto and do well. I mean, what's so interesting about the deal is that there's like certain clauses in place which are essentially, you have to play him. He has to play more than
50% of games or something, isn't it?
Yeah, and if he doesn't, which is, but I like that from Arsenal. They're really making a point that if you want him and you want him on a loan, rather than exploring the option obligation, but we want absolute guarantees that he's going to develop and play.
Yep.
I kind of wish he'd gone to another club. I think going back to Porto, if he kills it there, it's just like, okay, fine, but we knew he could do well there. I'd quite like to have seen him go to another club, but when you asked, how did I feel when I saw that? My honest reaction was excitement. I thought
explain that.
Well, because I like Vieira, but I was excited because it made me think surely someone's coming in, and also what I saw from Waneri in pre-season, I thought this guy looks brilliant, but he's 17. Oh, that was brilliant, but he's 17. And everything kept coming back to, but he's 17 years old, so don't really expect that's in the Premier League level. But what if Arteta does? Like, what if Arteta sees him and goes, no, you are Premier League ready. Like, you will play some minutes. You will,
be on the bench.
God, yeah, and be on the bench.
And if you're good enough, you're old enough, they say.
I think that's it. And so it was exciting because I thought, well, if Vieira's going, surely someone's coming in, and that puts a lot of faith in Waneri. And of course, you've still got Trossard and Havertz who can play in midfield. So yeah, I feel pretty relaxed about it, even though I like the guy. And yeah, in a circle saying that he is, he has been a bit of a flop. Is what it is.
Don't mind him. He is not a good fan of Fabio Vieira. Everyone's allowed opinions, but he's a regular on the channel. He's been saying Fabio needs to go, and he's not wrong. Like, I agree with what you said. It's weird because. It's weird, bro, because you must have heard it when you're on AFTV and doing your own content and whatnot. It's like it's not that people are wrong, but it's like when you say you're quite fond of Fabio Vieira or you rate him, people are like, why? For me personally, and I know a professional footballer, I should not be excited about this. I like his technical level. I like his final ball. I like the cameos. The problem I have is, as you said earlier, we have not got time to wait. While I'm sympathetic and empathetic to the injuries, it feels like a never-ending cycle with Fabio Vieira. And you're a jack of all trades currently at Arsenal, a master of none. Like, you play in Odegaard's position, you're not touching that. In the last 2 years, Jorginho, Partey, Granit Xhaka, all of those midfielders. Now Mikel, Merino coming in. You're not playing in that 8. You've been playing off the right. I don't think that's you. But the gaffer thinks you can do something there. Show me something. And I know you're not better than a Cole Palmer, Bernardo Silva, or Phil Foden. But if they're able to play like that, I'm sure they would prefer to be in the 8 or a 10. They've made it work. And I feel when it comes to Fabio Vieira, away from him being a bit lightweight, I don't think you're good enough off the ball. Now, that is something that is probably more important than what you can do on the ball in Mikel Arteta's system. So ultimately, it's just not looking good, is it? Like, and I hope this reinvigorates him.
And you summed it up well. Yeah, it hasn't worked across multiple positions. We've seen things we've liked. Off the ball, he's been good enough. Ben White gave Vieira an earful in the Bournemouth friendly out in the States because he didn't track an underlap or something. And I just think that was their frustration as well from the players. Like, we're not believing in you and trusting you enough on and off the ball. What was the game we played? I think it was Leverkusen when we were 3-0 up at half time. You know, we were killing it. Yeah, and everything happened down the left. There wasn't no action.
Yeah, he got a start in that, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, yeah. And he didn't do enough. So yeah, I there's a technical level I like there, but I think this is where, I'm not a coach and I'm not, I don't understand the game as well as, obviously the Artetas and so many brilliant people in the world do, because I'm thinking, wow, the technical levels there, surely there's a way we can harness that. And it's like, well, it's not happening. So
it's been a couple of years now, kind of like, when is it going to happen? And I hope for him, you know what? Sometimes while I'm a bit conflicted on the Porto move, because I know you wasn't probably going to go to the Prem, but I would have loved you to get a Premier League loan. It answers more questions, because critics will say, you know what, you did well, but you're playing in the Portuguese league. But then they will want Gyökeres, which doesn't make sense. But that's for another day. Obviously, you're going home. You're back to home comforts. Like you said, with the way the loan has been structured, you're going to have to play. But are you really going to pull up any trees? Now, I hope to be wrong. I hope to, you're like a new signing, as our old manager used to say. Keeping up the theme with wingers, man. We've been linked with Adamola Lookman, and I can never pronounce his name, but Brighton's Aderinga. Where are you at with those two, if they were to sign, or if it could happen?
I think they both come in as slightly underwhelming signings that I would still be excited to see and hopeful can add something. I mean, look, when you're talking about Williams and Kudus and Rashford, and then maybe a Rafinha, I'd love Kudus. Like, all these players that we're mentioning, you think, okay, maybe one of them can come, and if Arteta gets that best out of them, they can make a real difference. But then when you're talking about, Skov Olsen's been mentioned there. I don't know, but supposedly a very good player. When you talk about a Skov Olsen, when you're talking about Sterling, a Mudryk, who was he just mentioned? Oh, a Dingra, and who's the other one? Sorry,
Lookman.
I'm thinking, well, if they've signed, then Arteta clearly wants them and clearly thinks he can get something out of them, and that's exciting in itself. But I just have doubts over how big an impact they can make. But I like a Dingra. Look, sorry, I'm sounding very pessimistic. I like a Dingra. I actually like it.
Let us know once again how you feel, bro. Things can change. We want to know how you feel.
Sign a forward that we loved. I want it to be like, yes,
Nico Williams.
City fans are there going, oh, look what they've just gone and done. I don't think they're thinking that if we sign a Dingra or Lookman. But I would love to be wrong. Like, Liverpool beat City by not just signing superstars. They took players that they saw potential in and took them up to here. Wijnaldum, Robertson, Matip. Like,
Robertson with back-to-back relegations, or at least one relegation on his CV owing to his days at Hull.
Right. Mane.
Salah was a Chelsea flop.
Yeah, who's looking at Mane going, wow, I can't believe they've signed him. I think we all went, okay, yeah, good player. They did the same with Salah. Everyone went, yeah, but it didn't really happen at Chelsea. So what? And those two have become legends of Liverpool Football Club. So I don't laugh off any sign. If Arteta wants them, I'm going to be, my expectation will be here because I know what we need to do throughout the season. And my hope will be very high. But it won't come as naturally to me in terms of the big excitement as, Rafael's been mentioned, Eze. These
Eze
players,
be perfect.
They make
put the money down for him, man.
Yeah, it makes you go, wow, okay, we'll sign someone. I mean, Eze's interesting because I think he'd be an unbelievable false nine for us. I think he could
Can play
lead.
it all about.
Yeah, I think he could lead the line. I think he could be like up there, linking play with Saka and Martinelli brilliantly. But is he then that different? I don't know. But yeah, top player.
I mean, like you said, Eze would be the first choice for me. I know it's not like FIFA, but considering Eddie Nketiah looks like he's going over there, surely there could have been some negotiations. But as you know, Crystal Palace, there's a lot of turnover. The manager's just got his foot through the door. They've lost Elise. So it's either put down the top money, not Declan Rice 100 odd million, but pay/overpay for a prime player, and we keep it moving, which is a difficult one. What's this question said? Big up DG. Go on.
Sorry to interrupt,
No,
Jarvis.
go ahead, bro.
There are release clauses that Edu likes. Gyökeres has a release clause apparently. Kudus did, but I don't think he does anymore. Nico Williams has a release clause. Ez has a release clause. Like, I just wonder whether if it gets late enough, they're tempted to just go, all right, bam, hit the red button.
And then these players would have to want to make the move. And that is my hope with Nico Williams, but I'm just pessimistic for the obvious. Like, we're into the last week. I know a lot of footballers got a lot of affiliations to their clubs, especially when they come out of the academy. But it seems like that region of Spain, like ironically, kind of the same place where Arteta's from, they're a bit stronger there, like with Zubamendi. It's very different. But like with Sesko, if we activate the release clause, the player has got to want to sign. And will he want to leave Bilbao now? Obviously, with them needing a replacement. And it's not leaving like a coward, but you're leaving like a coward considering you got the 10. Are you waiting for Barcelona a year from now to go back in for him? I don't know. It's like what you said with Gyökeres as well. It's like, do these players actually want to do it? And I'll be very disappointed if we don't have more reinforcements in an attacking sense. I'm like you. If we wake up and we've got Kudus, Eze, Nico Williams, I'm laughing. I'm happy as Larry. If we don't sign those names, of course, naturally as a fan, your first instinct is, oh, they're not really nothing to scream and shout about. But I'll give them a chance. But we need to get one, man.
So what's your prediction then between now and the end of the window? Is it Ramsdale goes, Garcia in and a forward? Is that what you're thinking? I mean, look at these names, right? João Pedro, Adeyemi, Chiesa, Idan. Thank you for your comment. I've lost them. Mbemo. I like Mbemo. Like, there's good players there. Like,
surely there's a winger, bro. I have to say, surely of the Trossard ilk, there has to be a reinforcement of an attacker. Like, I would say the club are happy to get a left back in Ricardo, because all we heard from the Athletic was they wanted a left back, and with the turnover on the left hand side, we need stability. Mikel Moreno's of the same ilk. It took a bit long, but we're here. I feel surely Mikel Arteta wants another attacker, because who is trusted? Kai's trusted. Obviously, he's fit as well. Gabriel Jesus, I believe you're trusted, but if you're never fit, you're a non-starter. As you said, a number of players have gone. Saka's going to play every game. Whether we like it or not, he needs rest. He's going to play every game. I'm a bit scared in that regards, because I don't necessarily, like somebody said, we've got 91 goals. It's about turning some of those L's into draws, some of those draws into 3 points. Like what last season, no 2 seasons are the same, but we missed out on with 2 to 3 points. I can't do this ifs and buts, but the West Ham, for all the others, just take West Ham at home, where we created a billion chances and didn't put the ball in the back of the net. If we get 3 points there, it's very different conversations that we're having, in which I also want to ask you, you've probably heard this a lot. Does Mikel Arteta have to get silverware this season? Apologies. I know you've heard that.
Yeah, he does, because that's the demand and standards of Arsenal. You'd hope and you'd think, and I actually think those are the demands and standards of Mikel Arteta. But has to? What does that mean? If he doesn't, he gets sacked. I mean, this is the thing. What does has to mean? He will. For it to be a successful season, you have to lift silverware. For it to have been a very, very good season, you probably have to have lifted silverware, especially because last year, the last 2 seasons, we've had very good seasons but finished second. So it's like, okay, now if you're not really improving on that.
But what silverware there? Sorry to cut you. What silverware? Because if we win the FA Cup, you know the language the last time we won it. We know how quickly Man United's future or the narrative of Man United's season beyond the obvious change. Because I do think if we win the FA Cup, it's only the League Cup. Of course, the priorities are the champs and the Prem, or probably the Prem.
Well, I don't think you have to win the Premier League or the Champions League for it to have been a successful season. But I think anything other than one of those, and Arteta will be really disappointed with how the campaign went. I really think he is going for those 2 big ones. I think
you're right.
I think as Arsenal fans, we're right to be disappointed if we don't win one of those 2. It's not, we'll sack him if we don't, but it's like, there'd be a disappointment if we're not lifting one of those 2, because that's the money we spent, the level of player we all believe we have. That's what we kind of want to aspire for. But again, it's such a difficult question. It's all context. I mean, if we're 10 points ahead of City, we absolutely capitulate. Like,
Question marks, man.
really big questions are going to be asked. If we finish second, 15 points off City, but we had Saka, Erdegaard, Saliba, and Rice out all season because of unfortunate injuries. Liverpool won the title the 1920 season and then just scraped into the top 4 the season after that because they were riddled with injuries and they couldn't really cope. So and then they bounced back and they went for the quadruple, won 2 trophies, but not quite the Champions League and the Premier League, but they did get to the Champions League final. So it's like, one bad season doesn't mean, right, suddenly your process or your system, your manager, your players aren't the answer. So it's context to lots of things. I don't know. We'll see. I just, it's a question I find really difficult because there's so many different ways the season could go. But ultimately, in a line, I'll be really disappointed if we don't win a trophy this season. Really, really disappointed.
I'm with you, man, in that I think even for me, who I'm not with all of this Mikel Arteta in, Mikel Arteta out stuff. If there was, a better manager that could come in and win me a Premier or a Champs or do what he's doing to a better standard, Arteta, I like what you're doing, but I support Arsenal Football Club. Likewise, I don't agree with, quite frankly, glazing the manager. For me, you can't big him up and then not ask questions. And I feel when things go well, we're very quick to, sing from the high tops for Arteta. When things go left, it's where we're reluctant. And the club talk about collaboration. So I'm not really interested in who's right and who's wrong. We share the W's and we share the L's. I do think he needs silverware because I think the man says it. I think the man comes out and says it. The minute the season finished, he said, we need to win silverware. We need to get this amount of points and that amount of points. And over the last few years in particular, I listened to his press conferences. He talked about trying to get as close as we can to 100 points, scoring 90 odd goals, great record against the top 6, being great defensively. I feel as much as I think he plays attractive football and stuff, it's the ugly things. It's the off the ball. It's the defensive ilk. It's the wanting to win duels and stuff that should be a minimum of a Premier League team. But Arsenal fans, for a number of years, we've been robbed of it. But I do think he needs to win silverware because if I rate him this much, if he spent this much money, if we are arguably, give or take, the best team in the league or second best team in the league, it's got to correlate. And I also feel, as much as City are running away with it, I feel we shoot ourselves in the foot. I think we did that last season where the Premier League is concerned. I think we did that the season before. Indirectly, I think we suffer from a lack of personnel. Like, it's deeper than this, but there has to be a correlation with Jorginho coming off the bench in the North London derby at the Emirates. The game's very open, which isn't suited to Jorginho. Declan Rice coming off, and there's issues in that regards. As much as we scored goals, and we could have had a striker in that December period not put the ball in the back of the net, but sometimes you just need a natural goal scorer, even if it was an Ivan Ferguson, a Sesko, someone that's going to be a rotational option. They might only get 10 goals, but then 10 goals might be the difference between winning the league or not. So it's a difficult one, but I do think it needs to end in silverware because we're far too good. I've got 2 last questions for you before I let you get out of here. Jay, appreciate you. We've had this up here for a while, and shout out to the Kenyans. If we sign an attacker, who do you prefer, DG, a striker or a winger? And what does that mean for Kai, who I feel is a support striker, not a centre forward nor an 8? I think for me, I think you can get away with him on occasion in the 8. I don't really want to see that. I don't really like to get hung on this false 9 stuff and whatnot because you're going to play a similar sort of way regardless. And I think there's a correlation between how Eddie, Gabriel Jesus, Trossard, Kai Havertz loosely have played up front. Of course, Havertz is taller. You're going to knock it and try win the first and seconds. Jesus can do that, but it's not really him. So I would put, do you know what? If you can bring me a striker that gets 20 league goals, I would love that. If you could get me a rotational option, I'd love that. But I think in the last week or so, I want an inside forward, man, especially someone that could be off the left-hand side, with the greatest of respect to Trossard and Martinelli. But if we could find someone, whoever that is, that's getting Saka numbers, and we've got those 2 on either side, the other players in options, we're laughing. But where would you be with that?
Yeah, in short, I'm happy with either. My feeling is that the winger market is better. And to be honest, it's less about the player. Sorry, it's less about the position, more about the player. Like, I think at the moment, who's gettable? Probably Gyökeres to a degree with the release clause, Osimhen. So the sounds of an informed Osimhen, Saka, Martinelli, or Gyökeres, Saka, Martinelli, that sounds great. But then if you said to me Osimhen or Kudus, I don't care that Kudus' best position seems to be where Saka is. I'd add him because I think he's that good. And I'll just find a way to play him, maybe false 9. Or I'd play him on the left, try to get Martinelli, Trossard central, or you still got Havertz and Jesus. So for me, I just look a lot more at the player. Basically, I think we need a forward. Someone who plays across that front 3, and then we'll reshuffle the puzzle depending on who it is. But get the best player possible between now and the end of the window. And I feel like that exists in the winger market more than the striker market right now.
And that's where I'm at as well, man. I think the winger market looks a bit better. Again, I say that you ask me for names. Apart from the names we've said, I'm even an Arin. Good thing I'm not making the decisions. The striker, if it's not going to be evidently better than what we've got, forget about it. Like I know I keep saying 20 league goals, but if being a prolific forward was what Arteta demanded, the be all and end all, even if you could do that in the modern game, I know Kai is scoring goals, but Kai wouldn't be up front. Eddie wouldn't have got his running when he did, and Jesus definitely wouldn't have been bought for 45 million. So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think obviously we didn't sign Sesko, but if there is a market opportunity or someone that ticks the majority of our boxes, we'll do that. But it's a difficult one, and to be honest with you, it's one where I'm happy that I don't have to answer. But what I would say is the club have known this. They've known this for a while. Arteta sits there and says in March and April, we sit and have meetings. It's been known for a while the areas we need to address, especially midfield, which I hope we've done. My last question for you would actually be, I know this is very harsh on Edu, but considering, we've seen in recent years, a Vinicius, a Rodrigo, Real Madrid have a whole bunch of them. Do you think Edu could do better in the Brazilian market? Because he went to Brazil and he came back with Marquinhos. Now, I'm not really a fan of that, but I don't know how you scouted him. I don't like to get out footballers for YouTube comps and big up Marquinhos, but he is one where I watched and I thought, you know what, this might be a miss. But yeah, for my final question, where would you be at with that?
Didn't we get some scout or someone who was like former Real Madrid and he helped them
This
get?
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Shax, I've just seen
right.
that. I haven't watched the video, so I'll go have a little look. I don't know where that's come from.
He's been linked with Chelsea, Tony. So
that's what I thought. So I don't know where that's come from.
That screams panic to me, especially because of the language we heard in January that we want him. Now we have concerns. Like, don't get twisted. For me, Ivan Toney's a quality player, and if he comes to Arsenal, does a job, and we win stuff, I don't really care if he's a panic signing or not. Sometimes in life, panic can be good, but he's been available all summer. We've clearly made it clear we're not keen on him. Maybe there's moving parts I don't know, but that would scream to me that the first or second choice targets didn't work out. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything. Let me see. Tony, Arsenal. I'm just trying to see if there's anything I can find. But yeah, everyone go watch the AFTV video. I'll go have a little look and see if anything pops up. But yeah. Sorry, I was so distracted trying to find the Tony.
No, mine. I asked you about Edu and the Brazilian market.
Yes, the Brazilian market. Can I be honest with you, Deluded? Yeah.
Be honest, man. This is why you're here, bro.
I don't know if I care. Is that bad? Like, I don't.
Nah, you're allowed to. There's plenty of things Arsenal fans cry about that I don't care about. Like, there's many things. Especially, I'll be honest. Saka being rested. Now I know there's times he needs to be rested. I don't give a monkeys. You need to play. Do you know? And we don't have anything else. So you're right, man. You don't have to care, bro.
It's just like, I don't really care if we're not maximizing that market. Just bring the best players from wherever to play for Arsenal. Like, I'm very relaxed about it. I mean, Martinelli seemed like a gem when we picked him up, and like
he is a gem.
That was a brilliant bit of business we did. But yeah, I'm very relaxed about it, to be honest. And we've got the rest of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday now to go big and get the players we need. And I think we will do something, but it's a big few days, and I don't mind who they've played for. Like, nothing. It just, as long as Arteta believes in that player and genuinely really wants them, then I'll be excited.
I'm with you in that the players can come forever. I would like us to. It's hard for me to see, Vinicius, Valverde, all of these guys, and not really take advantage of it. But I'm for that. And we're now living in a world where you've got an Italian in California, in which Juventus, Inter, previous years, they get the bigger Italian players. We've got him. We've convinced Mikel Merino to depart Spain and sign for us. There's a certain club in the Premier League who couldn't convince the Sociedad midfielder to leave. We've been through that. So it is what it is in that regards. We'll just have to see, man. James, let people know where they can find you. Any shows to come out today or whenever, man. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure having you on the platform, man.
Thank you, man. Well, I mean, I'm obviously on AFTV and I'm on the Goonerverse, which is my personal channel. We just cover news on the Goonerverse, just lots of Arsenal bits of information. I'll be live at 11 p.m. tonight, because the thing with transfer stuff is it's happening all the time. So I like to just wait till it looks like it might have calmed down, and then we can sort of react to it all at once. And obviously Merino, Vieira announced, Nketiah has been given permission to go do his medical and get it all done and dusted. So for me, I just feel like, end of the day, nice live show. If you guys want to join, please do. But a big thank you as well, man, for having me. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, we always have good chats about everything going on at Arsenal. It's always good to like organize my thoughts. When you're talking about one player and then this is happening, actually you gather your thoughts. It's nice. I've really enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure, man. And as I keep saying, man, whenever I ask you to appear on the platform, you never say no. We always make it happen. So big respect to you. Again, people, don't be lazy. Smash the like button, subscribe. And in relation to James's channel, his channel is in the description. He's got 40k subs. The man should be on a lot more. So all you need to do is stop being lazy. Click on that. Go and show him some love. And then we keep it moving. And hopefully, you know, we've got smiles on our faces all season. But we all know that's not how football works. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sure you lot agree and disagree with a lot of what we said. You lot make the platform. So let us know your thoughts. And on that note, James, everybody, peace. Peace, peace, peace.
Like